Hi, Nigel from Timbabuild New Zealand here. Just to run through the Timbabuild repair process on a rotten window we have here. This is a common fault you have on windows in New Zealand. It's on a fixed panel. As you can see here, you've got right in the corner, on both corners and running underneath the window. So what we need to do is take all the rot out and then fill it with the Timbabuild epoxy repair system. And that's the first part of the process. So what we need to start the process is a die grinder with a router bit on the top, and we'll start routing out the rot. As you can see, the rot's gone quite far in on this, which is probably most of the way through, but we can still repair it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the glazing bead off and then just continue digging out with this and a multi-tool and chisels. So as you can see here, the issue probably has been is there's water been soaking up underneath here, but there's been a bad repair before. So they put some sort of well, it's interior wood filler in the corners here underneath, and what happens with that, it soaks up water and then it hence traps the water in and keeps on sucking up under here, and hence you can see the issues here. And that's the plus side of when you're doing a Timbabuild repair, is that Timbabuild is flexible and totally waterproofs when you actually have done the repair, but standard wood fillers aren't realistically made for external use, only for small pinholes. So I've removed the glazing bead, and there we found an issue as well, because the rebate wasn't primed, and back in the 80s they also used to join the timber with finger joints. So water gets behind here, gets into the finger joints because the glue's starting to break down, and then it causes issues and rot as well. Now I'm just going to take the glass up so we can see where the bottom of the glass is, and then we can continue cutting out the rot. I'll get the multi-tool as well. Go with that. This is quite a handy tool, so I use a bio wood and metal blade, because obviously you get a lot of screws and that in here, and just makes the blade last a bit longer. The rot's gone all the way through on this, but we can repair it, so just going to continue cutting out, get the rot out here. Yeah, as I said earlier, is that these sort of jobs sort of evolve. So you think you're going to be doing one thing, but then now we're doing something else. But so what we're going to do is we're going to piece a piece of timber in the hole just to pack it out. And what I'll do is cut that out with a multi-tool. Getting back to good wood now, it's getting harder and harder, so this is what we needed to get to. Okay, so what we've done, we've cut a piece of timber, we've cut the timber out to the hard surface, and now we're fitting the piece of timber in. So what we've done is fit it in, so we've got 6mm coverage of Timbabuild EHB 60 over the top. And this is specified in the regulations for the product. And the next part of the process is, this is quite important, is that we have to scrape off 20mm of paint from around the repair. Right, okay. And that's that'll be ready for gluing in. We'll clean it out, and then what we'll do is continue through the window doing exactly the same. What I'm going to do, even this is hard wood, what I'm going to do is still going to cut a channel out there to stop this happening, because what's happening is water's just going underneath. So if we do a little bead of Timbabuild EHP 60 all the way through the bottom, it's going to stop water running underneath the window and it rotting again. Okay, we're just going to be scraping off the paint 20mm above the line, but we can see here is the timber is damp above it, so we've caught it just in time so it hasn't rotted any further. Okay, so now what we're going to do, so we've cleared this window out, but this one is quite solid. There is a bit of softwood here. So to prevent it rotting any further like this one, we're going to do, we call them conservation joints. So this is cutting out about 8mm of timber down the bottom and then down the middle of here, and then we'll fill them full of resin, and this will stop rotting in the future. Die grinder straight down there. Yep, that's starting to rot, that has. As you can see, there's still, it's wet behind there, and it's felt like solid timber. So this is where I found the problem. It's like silicone has been put underneath here. See that? And what happens there is the moisture gets behind the silicone, and the water can't get out. It stays in there, so this holds the water in there. Whereas Timbabuild products don't do that, because they don't let the water in. So that's hence why it's down behind the actual cut I've done. Okay, before we apply the EWS, which is a stabiliser for the timber, we have to take a reading of moisture, and if it's under 18%, we're all ready to go. So we've got at the moment 8 there, which is great. 11 there. 22, so we're going to have to dry that out. This one's going to be more, I can feel it. 31, and then 9. Because we've got a high moisture content in the middle here, what we're going to do is use a heat gun to dry it out before we start the EWS. Okay, now so we've dried that out, that's 17. So what we might do is give it a couple more minutes with the gun, and that will be good to go. Yeah, 17 is reading, so I'm going to do a little bit more just to be safe. So the next part of the process is the epoxy wood stabiliser. This is the most important part of the repair system, because if you don't use it, you can't guarantee your repairs. Always wear gloves when using these products. So with this system, it's a base and a hardener. So what you do, squeeze the bottle until the chamber is up to the level, and then that's the exact amount you need. Pour that into a plastic pot or cup or whatever you want to. That's all good. Put the lid back on, and exactly the same with a hardener. Squeeze your bottle up to the level. This one's ready to go. Pour it in the pot, and then with a plastic stick, wooden stick, mix for roughly a minute. I think that's mixed up well enough. Okay, when using this, always use a disposable brush because you have to get rid of them afterwards. So applying it, the EWS is apply to the bare timber. And this will soak into the grains and open the grain up, stop it rotting any further, and help the resin stick to the timber and give you that flexible joint. And like all our products, they're all low emissions, A+. You'll be quite generous with this as well. The more there's on it, the more it soaks into the grain. You have to leave this for 20 minutes minimum for it to soak in. Okay, the next part of the process is we're going to be sticking in the pieces of timber we've cut with the ECR10. So this is the more of a glue resin. So this will probably set in 15 minutes and gone off completely in an hour. So we're gonna set those pieces of timber in so we can do the rest of the repair. So we take the nozzle off. As you can see, the hardener comes through the middle and the base comes from the outside. And then we've got an extrusion tool. This comes with a lifetime guarantee. And then we clip it in. It always has to be clipped in face up. And then like that. And the first part of it, we extrude. You see where it's coming out, it's not even. Now it's coming out evenly. And what we do is we get rid of that first part, otherwise it won't mix correctly, it won't be the correct ratios. Right, now we can start. So we probably don't need too much of this. This one fills up to 10 mil. Okay, I think that'll be enough. Make sure that it's back on because it does come out because it's a little bit runnier. There. And now it's a mix, but what we've got to do is mix it so it becomes the same colour all the way through. So now we're nearly all the same colour. Give it a little bit more. And then we'd spread it thinly because it's a heat process. The less bulk there is, the slower it goes off. Okay, now we're going to stick the timber in. So we take it out. You've got to work a little bit faster with this one so it does go off quite quickly. This is generally just to make it stable in the hole so we can fill it up. Okay. All we need to do with that now, and then we backfill it with EHP 60. Okay. Now the next part of the process is to use the EHP 60. This fills up to 60 mil deep and will give you flexible waterproof repairs. So it's exactly the same as the ECR10. We place it into the extrusion tool, clip it in. So extrude the first part, same as the ECR10, until it comes out the even consistency, and then we'll get rid of that. Plenty of wipes, which is great for cleaning up your tools and your board. Stainless steel or plastic you can use as well. I prefer stainless steel, seems to get a better finish. Right, so with this, probably extrude about 3 or 4 lines I normally do to start off with. With this you've got 30 to 40 minutes working time before it starts going off. So we start with that. To there. Exactly the same. It's a bit thicker so it's a bit harder to mix. As you can see, it's a lot thicker. Nearly there, nearly to the same colour. Okay, now we got that, we can start applying it to the repair. Because it's a big repair, you can keep on adding on to this, but you can't add on when the resin's gone off completely. You cannot add resin to gone off resin because it won't stick to it, so it has to be wet. So now we're going to start filling this. The EWS has been in there over 20 minutes. It's still damp, but you can still apply EHB 60 to it because it is a chemical process, so it will go off. So the depth of this repair, oh, you can see there, it's probably 30 odd millimetres, about that. So we'll just start filling it up. It's going to take a bit of resin to do this, but just make sure you push it in there. Try not overfill it to start off with, and then we'll get another blade. What we want to do is not try and mess around with it too much. Once you've cut that, then we'll start going along here. So by the looks of it, this repair is approximately going to take up about a tube. So that's going to be about $100 to save that bottom panel. So that's that one done. So it's a flexible waterproof repair. Approximately 4 hours that will be ready to sand down and prime up and fill. Then we'll move on to the next part. As you can see, the resin has now gone off 4 hours later. So what I find the best thing to do to start off with is to clean it up with the paint scraper to get rid of the high spots, and then we'll use the sander to sand it down completely. Okay, now we've cleaned it off with the scraper, now we're going with the sander. So use a 40 grit to start off with, because this is actually plastic wood, so we need to get it down quite well on a lower speed. Okay, now we've sanded the EHB 60 down, what we're going to do is use a Timbabuild fine finish to fill up any imperfections on the repair. This is a two-part filler, so what it is, there's a bag inside which has got a hardener and a base. And what we do, take the lid off, put it in a corking gun, goes like that. Same as the EHB 60 and ESR 10, we just get rid of the first bit. Otherwise it's not going to mix correctly. Okay. With this, you only want to do a little bit at a time because it does go off quite fast. It actually sets within 20 minutes, 30 minutes, it can be sanded down. So that's enough. Lid on. Okay. Right, it's pretty quick to mix. So okay, now we're going to start filling. Okay. Okay, now the filler's dried, we've left it half an hour. This is plenty of time for it to go off. So what will happen, it feels a little bit tacky on the outside because it's styrene free. it causes like a tacky surface, but it is ready to sand up. Okay, last part of the process, where we took the glazing bead off, what we're going to do is we're going to put some timber glaze on, which is a polymer hybrid putty. This skins over in 20 minutes, but it's paintable in 1 hour, and it's got a 10-year minimum guarantee on it. So the way we do it is with a silicone gun, cut the tube, but if you can see there, I've got quite a sharp angle on that nozzle. Okay, so what we do is now start at this end here with the caulking gun at the angle we want, and then start applying. This can also be applied to wet rebates. Okay, what we can do now is a spray bottle, plenty of water on it, a finger, then smooth it off. Okay, there you have it. That'll be paintable within 1 hour. Okay, we've been on this property now for the last 2 days doing Timbabuild repairs. They're now ready for decorating. Money saved, over $10,000 saved on this job just from doing Timbabuild repairs. And they're waterproof and flexible, and they'll last 50 years.